what is your writing genre of choice? Well, if you guys know me, you know that I love writing fiction, and it's gotta be angsty. Angst all the way. Like, most of my stories, probably about 90% of them, if not more, are full of angst. I don't know where that comes from, because I'm generally a cheerful person. Generally, I don't know. But yeah, I love writing angst. I don't know. Romance, like most of my stories, are romantic stories where eventually there's a happily ever after. I think I only have a handful of stories where the characters don't get their happily ever after, and usually those are for a challenge or something of that nature. I like writing that happy ending. I don't like disappointing fans, and although I do like killing off characters. So if you've read some of my stories and you have witnessed some of my characters that are my favorites, and your favorites just die for the purpose of moving my plot forward, I'm sorry. We won't talk about Wolves Without Teeth, okay? Or maybe we will. I don't know. But yeah, angst. That's my genre. I like anything angsty, romance, drama. Boom, give it to me. I'll write it out. Which of my stories am I most proud of, and why? It's like a twofer, really. The story I'm most proud of is definitely Teardrops and Teacups, which is part of the Wolves Without Teeth series, which is cresting 400k words, the whole series. So I'm pretty proud of that series in general. I never thought I could write something that long, let alone for this long of a time period. I've been writing this series since 2015, and it's still going. What was I thinking? I don't know, but I love it. But Teardrops and Teacups, as Kat, aka St. Dionysus, likes to call it, is Hermione's Eat, Pray, Love story.
I'm having a relationship with my pizza.
And I wrote it on a spur of the moment kind of decision. Like, I had written at that time, I know I'd written Rose Petals and Pepper Imps. Sorry, I stutter sometimes. Rose Petals and Pepper Imps, which is a Valentine's Day story where Hermione and Draco are together. It had come after I had started writing Wolves Without Teeth. And I thought, okay, let's write a prequel, because, you know, Wolves Without Teeth is a Loki Hermione crossover story, and like, okay, I allude a lot to the fact that Hermione used to be with Draco, and previously she had been with Ron, and there were some other things thrown in there along the way that kind of made her the way she is. And I've been talking to some of my writer friends, and they were like, you should go for it, you should just write another story, another prequel. And I was like, well, what would I write? And so we decided that I should write the years after Hermione and Draco have to break up because of a betrothal contract between him and Astoria, because I like to keep some of the canon ships, and I really do like the Draco Astoria ship, although I really mess with them in that story. But I wrote it, and I'd never written like sort of a four-parter story where it was broken up into like just dialogue. There's moments of just dialogue, there's snippets of just what she's working on, because she works on addendums while she's doing research, so it's just that. And there's dates galore. Like, let me tell you, me and calendars were like BFFs for the few months that I took writing the story. I wrote like journal style, and it was really eye-opening, because at that point I'd only written narrative style. It allowed me to see that I was capable of writing in different styles, and I liked it. And that's one of my most popular stories, and it's kind of crazy, because I thought, okay, nobody's going to read this because it doesn't have that typical happily ever after that I usually promise. Like, yes, Hermione ends up okay in the end, spoiler alert, ish, you gotta read it to understand the ish, but there's no like set pairing for that story. Like, a lot of people associate it as Hermione, but there's also a lot of Blasmione and Themione, and there's a couple threesomes in there too, because Hermione experiments a bit in these years where her heart is shattered and she's just trying to figure out who she is again and build off of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm still very proud of that story because it allowed me to see, okay, I can grow and I can change, and I'm still doing this thing and I love it. And so yeah, that's kind of why I'm proud of it. Did anything surprise you during its creation? What did you learn? Everything surprised me. Just writing it in general. Like, I started out the first part, like year 2006, basically what you would expect from a breakup story. Like, Hermione goes on, she's dealing with her stuff, she travels to get away from it all, she's feeling depression, etc. Her post-traumatic stress disorder that I like to write her having comes into play a lot. And so I was just kind of like, all right, let's just go with it. And then 2007 comes along, and I don't know. I learned that there might be some parts of my mind that are a little dark and twisted and interested in some other things that I hadn't thought about before. So I learned about myself through writing Hermione, because I think at that point in my life, some things were starting to change. I was starting to realize some things in my personal life, and I was writing them out in this story. So I get to like the third part, which was 2008, and like things changed again for her, and she does some things that, you know, normal people wouldn't be proud of. And just to be, those of you who read the story, I just want to say that I've never done some of the things that Hermione has done in this story, but I have known people who have done them, and I can relate and sympathize and empathize with them. And so that's kind of where it all comes. And, you know, then there's the last chapter of the story where everything comes full circle and the shit hits the fan. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse in these videos. I forgot to ask Amy. But yeah, so things kind of like implode for her, but then they all come sort of together. Things end on a note where Hermione's like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, and I can see myself moving forward. And kind of that's what I've done in my life over the past couple of years since I wrote the story. I take a lot of inspiration from my writing. Definitely I've learned that, you know, it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to have faults. It's okay to live messed up experiences as long as you learn something from them and you grow and you feel better afterwards. And that's kind of what I think about that. But yeah, how personal is the story to you, and do you think that made it harder or easier to write? And like I said, it's a very personal story to me. Hermione suffers a lot of anxiety and depression in the story, and I myself suffer from anxiety, especially social anxiety. Like, I hate being in crowds, like, or if I'm thrust into them, like, I can't stand it. It makes me really anxious, which a lot of people are like, how are you a teacher if you have such social anxiety? It's different. Like, being in front of a class with my students, that's easy, no problem. But then you throw me in front of a group of adults and I'm like, how quickly can I get out of this situation? Is it time to go home yet? Like, can I go? See you later. Yeah, I mean, it was very personal. I write Hermione as having PTSD, and of course I don't have that, but I know some people who do, so I kind of reached out and talked to them about it, make sure I was getting it right. I didn't want to insult anyone with, like, the wrong things. So, you know, sharing their experiences, and that really touched a part of me. And at times, you know, it was easier. At times, you know, I could separate myself from it all, but there were other times where it was a lot harder because I was writing my own emotions into Hermione, and I'm an emotional person. Like, I don't often cry or whatnot anymore, but if I'm really feeling it, I'll cry. And I believe there were times during writing this story that I cried. Actually, there were a lot of times writing the whole series that I've cried. Hermione goes through a lot, and I don't know. I feel for her, and I feel for me, and I feel for everyone who has experienced the things that Hermione feels. And I just hope that is portrayed when I write her.